She's standing in the checkout line, and her cart has 4 things in it. She only came in for 1. This happens to nearly everyone. You walk into a store or open an app with a single item in mind. 10 minutes later, you're holding things you never planned to buy, and you can't fully explain why. The easy explanation is that you lack discipline, that you're weak-willed, easily tempted, bad with money. But that explanation doesn't hold up, because the same thing happens to disciplined people, frugal people, even psychologists who study spending for a living. So if it's not a willpower problem, what is it? The answer starts with how your brain actually makes decisions, and it's not the way most people assume. Nobel Prize-winning psychologist Daniel Kahneman spent decades studying this question alongside his research partner, Amos Tversky. What they found is that the brain runs on 2 very different systems. One is slow, careful, and analytical. The other is fast, automatic, and runs constantly in the background, sizing up situations in a fraction of a second, using mental shortcuts instead of full analysis.
Most of the time, that fast system works in your favor. It lets you cross a street, recognize a friend's face, react to danger, all without grinding through deliberate calculation. But that same efficiency has a blind spot, and retailers, whether they've read the research or not, have learned exactly where that blind spot is. Take a simple price tag, one that reads, "Was $80, now $45. Your slow, analytical brain would ask, is $45 actually a good price for this item? But that's not usually the question you ask. Your fast brain locks onto the $80 first. That number becomes an anchor, and everything after it gets measured against it, not against what the object is actually worth to you. Kahneman and Tversky documented this anchoring effect in experiment after experiment. People's judgments shift toward the first number they see, even when they know that number was arbitrary.
Retailers didn't need a psychology degree to discover this. They just noticed it worked. Now add a second layer, urgency. Only 2 left in stock, a countdown clock ticking toward 0. This taps into something Kahneman and Tversky called loss aversion, part of their broader prospect theory. Losing something we could have had tends to feel worse than gaining something new feels good. So when a deal seems like it's about to disappear, the fear of missing out often outweighs the question of whether we wanted the item in the first place. One shortcut narrows your judgment, the other adds pressure to act before you second guess it. And there's a third piece, maybe the most quietly persuasive of all, other people. A product with 2,000 5-star reviews, a label that says bestseller, a crowded section of the store where everyone seems to be reaching for the same thing. Researcher Robert Cialdini calls this social proof. When we're uncertain, we look to others' behavior as a signal for what's probably right. It's not blind conformity, it's a reasonable strategy that usually serves us well. Usually. None of these shortcuts operate in isolation. Walk through a well-designed store or scroll a well-designed app, and you'll find all 3 working together. The anchor, the urgency, the crowd. Each one quietly nudging the same fast-thinking system, each one bypassing the slower, more deliberate one. This is the turning point worth sitting with. The shopping environment isn't tricking you into becoming irrational. It's aligning itself with mental processes you already have. Processes that exist because, in most of life, they serve you well. The store aisle engineered so essentials sit at the back. The free shipping threshold that's just above your cart total. The customers also bought suggestion at checkout. These aren't exploiting a flaw unique to you. They're responding to shortcuts built into ordinary human cognition. That said, it would be a mistake to treat these mechanisms as deterministic, as if they control anyone completely. Their strength varies by product, by context. Income, habit, culture, and genuine need still shape what ends up in the cart. Psychology tilts the odds. It doesn't remove your say in the matter. Which brings us back to that shopper at checkout, staring at 3 unplanned items. She wasn't careless. She walked through an environment built, deliberately or not, to speak directly to the fast, automatic part of her mind, while the slower, more deliberate part barely got a word in. That's really the whole shift in understanding. The goal was never to shame yourself into more willpower. It's to recognize the moment an anchor is set, a clock starts counting down, or a crowd seems to be reaching for the same thing. Because the instant you notice the mechanism, you've already given your slower mind a seat back at the table. You may still choose to buy it, but now, at least, it's actually your choice. Here's the part that's easy to miss. The checkout line isn't really about shopping. It's a small, low-stakes rehearsal of something you do everywhere else. In job offers with a deadline attached, in relationships that create urgency around commitment, in opportunities framed as scarce. The same fast mind that reaches for an unplanned item is the one making decisions in rooms far more important than a store aisle. Most of us like to believe our biggest choices are made by the careful, deliberate version of ourselves. But that version only shows up when it's invited. The rest of the time, something faster is already deciding and calling it a receipt afterward. So maybe the real question isn't why you bought something you didn't plan to buy. It's what else in the last year got decided before you ever weighed in. If you like thinking about the psychology behind how people spend, work, and decide, this is what Thinkfold is for. Subscribe if that's your kind of curiosity. Like the video if it actually gave you something worth sitting with. And if there's someone in your life who'd enjoy seeing the world this way too, send it their way.